and Safety Committee meeting to order at 5 o'clock on October 16th. And roll call, we have Alderman Borgman, Alderman Engelhardt, Scott Kruger, Wendy, and myself, Alderman Madden. And if you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This meeting was noted as required by the Wisconsin Open Meeting Law. And approval of the minutes for the September 17th, 2018 meeting. Any
motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Status of projects. Waukesha Water.
All right, so I got a big one on this one.
Oh boy.
So we met with them on October 9th last week. That was our first meeting in about 14 months, but this will probably give you a pretty update idea. So right now, their preferred route is route number 3. So route number 3, going through the city of Muskego, would be following Moreland Road, down Durham, down North Cape Road to Ryan Road. So as you can kind of start imagining what type of like construction that's going to be. It's going to be pretty intense. Mm-hmm. It is going to be a 30-inch ductile iron pipe for the return flow. It's going to be wrapped twice because they're worried about corrosion, and there's going to be anodes placed along the route also to worry about corrosion. So here's the schedule. Right now, 60% plans have been submitted to the city of Waukesha. November 2018, 60% plans will be submitted to the city of Muskego. We will have till about January of 2019 to do our city of Muskego review, and then we'll complete it by then and get it back to them by January 2019. 90% plans they should have done by the end of February of 2019. They will do then another public information open house somewhere in Muskego, like they did one before. I think they used the high school. And that should be about May of 2019. Construction bidding will begin at the end of 2019 and as early as 2020. The construction in Muskego they're planning for is 2020, and the whole entire project will be completed in 2023.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good update, but more things are going to be coming real soon. But just want to kind of, any questions so far?
Not for me. They've been out there just...
They're doing survey work right now, looking at it, and they're been doing some soil boring sampling and looking at environmental concerns along the route.
Okay. All right.
So are they going to be on the side of the road then, or?
It varies in different places. For example, Moreland Road, we just did. Yeah. So that would be a very big no-no for them to go down the road. So they're going to stay along the path, which means then the path will be, they will give us a brand new path along the way. Mm-hmm. It flips, again, we saw just kind of like their summary of 60% plans. They're going to stay along one side of the road. Sometimes they're in the middle of the road. Sometimes they're on the east side of the road. Sometimes they're on the west side of the road. The big thing is they're trying to avoid any utility conflicts right now that they have. So once you start, we have a copy of the 60% plans and we can look at it. I will provide copies and you can start really seeing how this layout of this pipeline is going to be.
Are they going to bore under the roads, or are we going to?
This is going to be open cut, except for in certain areas where they have to go under. For example, Woods Road and Moreland, where we just did a brand new roundabout, they will do an bore directionally drill underneath that area. In some areas, they'll do directionally drill, but in most cases, they will open cut the road.
So, if I remember right, Route 3 goes down 00, right?
It's going to be a pretty intense thing because you can think of this trench will be at least almost 10 feet wide because of the depth and the size of the 30-inch pipe. So I'm going to give my first public announcement that this is going to be a very difficult time for some residents going down this path, and there'll be some pretty big traffic control, and in some places, the road will be closed for this.
So we're looking at another extended time like we did with the roundabout? It's going to be a long haul?
It's going to be a longer time period for that, but, and again, we're only at 60% plans, but I'm giving you fair warning now, so.
Okay. Bay Lane reconstruction.
Sure. Bay Lane construction, there's one thing that's actually on, it's our last topic on the Public Works meeting tonight. Once that decision is made, then what we're going to do is take all our comments from the 60% plan and that last direction that we get, and I'm going to release the consultants to move forward with 90% plans. We'll then have another public information meeting, similar to we had here. We'll go over the final set of plans. Then the plan is to bid this in January of 2019 and then start construction of this project in spring of 2019. So that is our plan of attack with that one.
All righty. And Hillendale reconstruction.
Sure. Hillendale, we had a very successful public information meeting. We are still getting comments forms. I think we even got 2 more today. I'd probably say we got another 15 to 20 in the last week or so, which is great. The more comment forms we have, the better idea of what the public wants. The consultant is gathering all this information. From all that information, then we will kind of come up with a game plan of how we want to go from the 2 alternatives down to 1 alternative. Once we make that decision, I will bring that forward to Public Works. We will talk about everything of, again, one of the big hot topics is the bike trail path, and then the other 2 kind of topics are looking at keeping it more of a rural kind of cross-section view through it or more of an urban. So the next big step is just gathering all this information, coming up with a game plan of how to move forward, and then present it to the Public Works and kind of get signed off from you, and then we move forward. So.
All right. Okay, we move on to unfinished business. Request for curve warning sign on Shady Lane and Forest Drive.
So the last time I left this, I believe I gave you a suggestion to do a right and left curve sign with like a 15-mile speed limit for it. I think I sent it to you 3 to kind of look at it right away after the meeting. I'm kind of just looking for a direction. If that looks good, we can get this project kind of wrapped up and then done. And so I'm kind of looking for what you guys, if you like that idea, last idea or not.
To me, it was kind of like it's a 90-degree turn, so it's a no-brainer that you got to slow down. So I didn't really think that the 15-mile-an-hour arrow was what I was looking for. What I'm trying to do is tell people that when they turn a corner, there's going to be a kid standing in the road. That's what I'm trying to convey. That's why I was trying to have something with some sort of adjective in it that implies danger or warning or careful. But to tell the people that it's going to slow down to 15, that's kind of like you've done that already.
Wasn't there already a children's sign?
There's 2 slow children signs out there already.
Yeah,
so
I know there are.
I don't know what else. I mean, if you wanted to point out there are kids near, I would think if you have to slow down to 15 miles an hour, there's a reason. And if there's
Well, you said you were out there. You know how fast that turn is.
Yeah, I was out there a couple of times for quite a while, and I never even saw anybody out there.
Very quiet area.
Yes, it's a very quiet area. And I think that sharp arrow with the 10 or 15 mile an hour on it is pretty self-explanatory that this is dangerous, you gotta slow down.
We have neither wording for danger or caution or something like that.
What didn't it say something, that sign? I thought you sent us a copy.
Something about hazardous before, but that word apparently doesn't appear on any signs.
Yeah, it's more of the signs that are yellow or the warning signs, and you both have out there right now is, 1, you have the speed bump signs, but there's no speed bumps. The 2 is there's slow children in the area going on both sides.
Right.
So the thing would be to remove the signs that say speed bump, keep the signs that say slow children in both way, and then just add the curve, the yellow warning signs for the curves to slow down to 15. And that way I think was more of a better suggestion than clear cutting trees and
Right.
I was just looking for those those are the signs that I thought were kind of
Yeah,
both
short of,
directions that would be beneficial for both.
right. Yeah, short of, did you talk to him about cutting his trees? Because you were gonna,
No, because we were supposed to mark which ones were gonna be taken down. And that
oh,
was-
no, we were gonna talk to him to see if any of them could first, before we, I mean, actually, when last we talked, I thought we just decided we were gonna put that 15-mile-an-hour curve up and leave the.
Well, we were going
children's
to,
signs.
when last we talked, we were gonna look for a sign that
A more emphatic
somehow
sign.
expressed the hazard. Scott followed through and found those speed warning signs.
Right,
When you start doing hazardous signs, they're kind of more of like dangerous chemicals, fire.
Understood.
Yeah. But more of the other ones, it's more the fact that, they're very little of finding like a fire danger sign with the hazard of it. So I'm just kind of letting you know that I looked for a couple of those and it would be more of a custom made sign. And these would be like, well, this is standard in TAPCO or MUTCD's thing of here's a warning for a curve and both in there in 15 miles an hour. So.
If the other two of you think that's good, well, we can go with that.
well, I think it's certainly worth giving a shot.
No? It's a quiet enough neighborhood. It's mostly just
It
people
is.
that are used to that neighborhood though, isn't
Right.
it? I mean, I think there'll be not a lot of unfamiliar traffic.
Right. So I'd be looking for a vote to accept.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Forest Glen subdivision drainage.
I always like bringing handouts for you guys.
Yeah, good.
Yay.
You got some beavers out there again?
I'll talk about that.
Did you find them or not?
These are two for you. So first comment, we did, our beaver guy went out there. We didn't find a beaver, but he's putting up a trap and he thinks it might be a muskrat too. But we set a couple traps out. He didn't find any clean cutting of trees, but we'll put a trap out because we got one last year. So it could be a muskrat or something, but we'll do it. What I did is part of our last meeting notes, I had Dan go out there. And the first one with all those red shots, and we can pass them on to the homeowners, we just wanted to kind of verify what was out there compared to what the grades of the original plan of attack was. And that helps with them knowing, okay, they're a little higher in some areas, a little lower in areas, but these at least should give them a pretty good idea that they can provide to their landscaper if they needed to do any grading in those areas. And that was one thing that we were required to do as a city. The second one that I gave you, it shows an apparent utility easement per survey, but the big thing is on the second page of it, in the blue area, it says that in these easement areas that at the end, after installation of any such facilities, the grade of the subdivided property shall not be altered by more than 4 inches without the written consent of the guarantees. Why that is done. So there's We Energies in there. They vary from about anywhere from 30 inches down to 42 inches down into the ground. All we have to do is, if you want to grade in those utility easements a little bit more, we have to work with We Energies and say, where is your actual thing so that we don't cut down a foot and they don't have enough cover on their utility lines anymore, or the fact that we hit with them. Doesn't say that we're not able to, we just can't do more than 4 without working with them. And I just wanted to pass that information on to both the homeowners association and these things. And I can give you guys email copies so that you can provide it on the mic, or I can do it with Mike and just send them to you tomorrow. But it was just one of the things that I wanted to, we can still keep it on there. I don't know what their game plan is, and it's revolving, but this is just one of the assignments that we had, and I was able to get Dan out there to do it. So.
Great.
I think if I can read that writing right, I think the end of that ditch is supposed to be 809, and it's 810.
Yep, yeah, so it's up a little higher. So yeah, you have potential to lower it a little bit as well. That's what kind of is kind of saying, yeah, you know, maybe this was built at the time and then silt came in a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's good for them to know, so.
So is there, okay, to get this ditch back to where it's supposed to be, is that the homeowner's problem or is that the city's problem?
It's a homeowner's problem to do it.
Okay.
But I told them that I would shoot everything as much as I could to help them out and get them the information. And it's not done. We can work and come up with ideas as well, but this was my assignment to get done, so
Yep.
I don't like to have things hanging out there, so.
I was just going to say, none of them are here tonight, are they?
But that's fine, I'll email it to Mike, and you can talk to Mike too, and if you need extra copies, Alderman Borgman, I got extra copies that you can hand to him.
Well,
So,
thank you for getting out there.
yeah. Well, we want to do it too before, snow falls.
Before you had to shovel it off, huh?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, water main assessments.
Yeah, I'm just going to defer this one to November, keep it on there. I still got some work to do with Scott and other things, but I just wanted, last time was just to kind of introduce the subject and, you know, some things, but I'm working on some things I want to present to you guys and have a really good idea. So we'll just keep it on there. And I know we have a full night with a lot of people here, so I'm trying to get it through.
Gotcha. All right, then we move on to new business. Heinrich Drive.
So, Heinrich Drive, what that is there's a conceptual layout plan I think you see in the back there. Mr. Heinrich wants to take his property and subdivide it in 4 lots there. If you look at the conceptual plan there is a cul-de-sac, kind of like a turnaround at the existing property. And then to access lot 1, there's an existing gravel trail that goes down there. There's an outlet structure that's already there. So the plan of attack is he's got to dedicate the Heinrich Drive to public improvements. But since he's going to use lot 1 as what it is now of using the driveway and using the outlet structure, but put a house there, Adam and I and talking and everything, that we were fine with keeping that driveway as just the access point and not having Mr. Heinrich carry the public road all the way down, making all the way improvements for something just for the one driveway that's already in there. With it, are you guys able to see the cul-de-sac and everything where it is? And then, you know, Mr. Heinrich's here and his son if you guys need to talk to him about anything, but Adam and I have talked about this, and we didn't feel that there was any concerns about doing that, and then we recommend that the public, you know, improvements can stop right at the cul-de-sac there, and then the rest will be just acting as it is, so.
Any questions?
So you'd be creating a couple of flag lots then, huh?
He said he was creating a couple of flag lots.
A fly lots?
Flag lots.
Flag.
That was Neil's comment.
Okay.
Yeah, flag lots.
Oh, I got you, the flags, yep.
So 60, huh? 2, 3, 4.
Any questions or concerns?
Whole thing is virtually surrounded by wetland then, huh?
There's a lot of wetland down there.
Hate to see that close in that much on those wetlands.
You think it's closing in too much on the wetlands? Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah, it's just that we're, you know, those things change. Every 5 years, you have to have them reevaluated and whatnot, and yet it appears as a portion of the lot is actually wetlands.
Yeah, that wetland extends far beyond this picture. It goes a long way. There's a lot of wetlands in that whole area. But this, I haven't been down there in a while, but this is pretty high where you guys are talking about, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I personally don't see an issue with it from what I've seen back there. I think they would be fine.
And it's got to be 4 lots?
4 lots.
Mm-hmm.
Has it got to be 4 lots? Okay, well.
And there's, what,
This-
72 acres across the street from it that's going to be, something will be done with one of these days too. Yeah, it's a lot of farmland back there.
Okay.
Okay. So I'd be looking for a motion.
This request is pertaining to the driveway, though, mainly.
Correct. It's just pertaining to the drive.
Yeah, move to permit it.
And second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And now, Pinnacle Peak Sewer Connection fee.
Nope, Harvest Court.
Oh, Harvest Court?
Yep.
Whoops, sorry.
Harvest
I
Court
missed.
plan approval. So this is just kind of an extension of a cul-de-sac. But what has happened is it's gone through at least 4 iterations with our consultant, us reviewing these plans. Basically, we conditionally approve. Why we conditionally approve is if there's ever a change in the field, whatever, we can always make adjustments. But that everything has been addressed and that the public improvements for the Harvest Court project include proposed asphalt roadway, ditches, driveway culverts, and roadway cross culverts. And it's ready to go, and that we would just approve the plans for it.
Questions or concerns?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now we'll move on to Pinnacle Peak Sewer Connection fee.
So what this is, the Pinnacle Peak and Sanitary Sewer Connection fee. I believe a couple of years ago, MSP came in as well, just the most recent one for you. I wasn't here, but Dave Simpson was here. What this is this has been basically part of our code that's been in place since 1984 when they set up the RCA. It's our sanitary sewer connection assessment due to the reserve capacity assessment, which is assessment to offset costs for the connection to the Metropolitan Milwaukee Sewer District. During the process, when any commercial place comes in, we give them a commercial permit application general requirement. I attach that to it. On the second page of that requirement, it says water fees are dependent upon the size of the meter needed to install. Sewer fees are determined by the type of business. For more information, contact the utility department. Why you have to contact the utility department is RCAs are based off of whatever kind of development you're going to do. We don't know until that development starts talking, so they need to talk to the sanitary and water to figure those costs out. What has happened is those fees don't get charged until the place is hooked up. In this case, Pinnacle Peak got hooked up. They received a bill. It is a very large bill for sanitary sewer based off of number of beds for memory care. It's in the thing of like $135,000. So they came in, Sherry and Jay came in. I believe they're here tonight, and I think they want to talk as well. They came in, they discussed this fee with us. Myself, the mayor was there, Adam was there, and Scott who's the superintendent of utilities. We went over the commercial permit with them. Jay even produced it with it back and forth. They were argument was the fact that they thought it was an impact fee. Adam said it was not an impact fee. It's an assessment fee, back and forth. We also said a way to pay for it is it can go on a 5-year plan. That's always that the city has. Again, it's a little higher rate of insurance of 8%. But this is something that is just part of our code. We're following our code. I have never heard of one that's ever been waived. Once you start doing that, then they're kind of all, I think you open the door for a lot of different things. This is just part of doing business in the city of Muskego. So that's my side. Jay, I think Jay would like to say something. Sure. I think I turned it on. Jay, just make sure the microphones, or Sherry, both. So.
Yep. Yeah, you have to come up to the microphone, please.
Just make sure that it's on. I think I turned it on for you. Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
There you go.
So I'm Sherry Cisney. I'm Jay's partner in this. He's my little brother. And so we finished the project in the beginning of September, and on September 17th, on a Monday, we received a bill for $135,975 in the mail. Needless to say, we were pretty shocked. When we go to build in a city, the first thing we do is we go into the planning department, the building department, we ask, what are the fees here? And we asked what the fees were, and we apparently were misinformed because number one, we asked what are the taxes, property taxes, and what are the various fees? And we were told by Adam, the planner, what the fees were, and then he also told us you have to put money on deposit. I think we put $8,400 on deposit for engineering costs that might be started because of use an outside engineering firm. So we were aware of all the fees that were involved. So when we got this in the mail, that's pretty shocking. We did have a meeting with the mayor, as Scott said. They said, well, on the back of this sheet that you got on your commercial permit application, it says sewer fees are determined by the type of business. It doesn't say anything about a connection fee. It says sewer fees. It doesn't say connection. So on the front part of the sheet, commercial permit application, it says sewer connection $500. So we would not have thought that there was any further connection fee because we were never informed. Especially on a fee this large, you would know ahead of time. This is something that goes in a line item when you get your loan at the bank. It's a line item, and they're always paid up front. Jay's been a builder for 30 years. He's built 25 assisted livings throughout Wisconsin. Never has something come in at the end. And so if you look at in your regs, your City of Muskego regs, and I can supply you copies if you'd like, on chapter 290.7 talks about sewers. And if you look in here, it says, initial construction fee. For each new lateral or service connection, there shall be charged a fee in an amount as may be established by the Common Council from time to time by separate resolution. This fee shall be paid to the city at the time of the building permit or plumbing permit issuance. It doesn't say it comes after. It's actually reiterated later in this 290.7. That's all about the sewers. The number of residential equivalency units for all categories of future users for reserve capacity assessment purposes shall be determined by the city engineer at the time of the issuance of the building permit, based as far as possible on the residential equivalency. So this should have been charged up front. Not only that, that gives us an opportunity. We've never paid a fee of $135,000. And honestly, we wouldn't have paid it. We would have walked from this city. There's some cities we walk from because it doesn't make sense for us to run a small business. It's too big for us. We're just small business. So we would have walked or we would have renegotiated. But this is just slid in and we got a bill in the mail for $135,000? I mean, if I appear angry, yeah, you bet I am, because how would you like it if someone came to you and said, gee, let me just grab a little bit, over $100,000 out of your pocket?
So Scott, when the code she was reading, that implies to me it's residential, it's not.
Well, everything's based off of, when you do the RCA and do it. And that's why we have on this building permit to call the utility and figure out what type of business that you're going to do. And when you sit there and you're saying, even in our meeting, you pulled out that form. You had that form right in there. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that no one told you to go call them and that it was the city's the
onus is on the city, because we are dealing with a point person. We are dealing with Adam, who he's a city planner. He would have said, here's all your fees. And he said, here's your fees. He didn't know.
But it's an assessment. See, we're now talking about the RCA and assessment. And the thing is, we're not going to charge for assessment until you're hooked up. If you're not hooked up to the sanitary sewer, and the other thing too is when you say, when you call and you give the idea and why you call is, for example, we're going to use yours. You have a place where you have so many beds in your building. If you call and say, I'm going to estimate and do 20 beds, okay, mm-hmm. we can give you a cost for that. However, what happens when we finally do the inspection and you actually have 28 beds? So we base off of what the final inspection is, because so many people during the process change their plans. And that's where we do our final count.
Well, if our plan was changed, you would know, because we have to give you a stamped plan.
I understand.
But just so you know, it just says water fees are sewer fees. It doesn't say anything about a connection. And we don't actually pay the water bill, because we have a tenant in the building that's the operator. Yeah. So we would have no reason to call the water department. You obviously are going to tell me all my costs are here, like you listed them. Sewer connection was $500, but there was no mention ever of this. And I know that we went in and talked to Adam. We asked all the right questions. There's no question we asked, because it's a line item in our loan, and it's not. I mean, I know that. I remember it clearly. Something slipped through the cracks here, and it's a big.
It's misleading.
Right.
Because I kind of keep looking at the permit, and I'm like looking at approximate cost for commercial permit, going through all the way, and then the last item of it says, water fees are dependent upon the size of the meter needed and installed. Sewer fees are determined by business. For more information, contact the utility department.
The onus isn't on us. I mean, we have a point person when we get a building permit. They have to tell us the fees. I mean, that's just being upfront and it's just good business.
It should say connection fee. It doesn't say connection fee. It just says check with, for water. It doesn't say anything connection.
But it's still, I guess you're saying that, I guess the argument now is more that you're saying that Adam didn't tell you exactly to call them up.
And your paperwork isn't explained right.
And your paperwork says, your fee right here in your regs says you got to charge it up front. Nothing comes after your loan is closed up.
Well, again, when we talk about closing this and why we're not charging you right away is because we don't charge you for this fee because you're not hooked up. Why would I start charging for you if you don't have it?
You still have to tell us up front there's going to be a fee. I mean, we have to. It's running a business. You have to know the fees up front.
We gave you this sheet of paper which you produced for us.
There's no connection. It doesn't say connection on your paper.
Okay, excuse me. I understand that you guys are really upset. My concern is I've been on this council for 20 years and I have never had this happen.
That's why cities have software now, actually, so things like this don't slip through the cracks. There's a few things that are a little...
It's never happened. This is a first. I have never seen this happen.
Well, I'll tell you what else happened. A couple things have happened in our project, but that might be another meeting. But, there's just things that like, for example, we did all of our landscaping and we spent over $50,000. Oh, guess what? That really wasn't fully approved. We never stamped your landscape plan. So now we need you to add this, and this. Things just are slipping through the cracks that you're not seeing, I think. I'm concerned.
Well, when we do have developers and everything, I want to make sure that you're clear. We treat everyone the whole same fare for that and with landscaping. And when we looked at the plans, the landscaping wasn't improved and we just needed to go out there and we review everything. And if we see something that's a little different than the set of the plans, we make adjustments. I just had to make adjustments on the city hall over here because our planner reviewed those plans and said, you don't have enough arborvitaes over screening all that, so I had to pay extra money to get arborvitaes over there. We hold ourselves the same level as everyone else and as much as developers. It's hard for me when, you know, when we met and we showed this to you that you're putting the onus on the city for us to carry you and walk you through every step.
A step that big, absolutely. I mean,
The other thing is, who determined that price on that?
Yeah, that. I've never even heard of anything.
Because if you look at your own thing.
Here you go. Here's a full set for you
Sure.
for calculations.
I'll state my name to Mayor Kathy Chevrati for the record. I fell off. We did meet, and Adam couldn't be here, so it's probably appropriate that I am here. The first thing I'm going to address is the landscaping. As chairman of Plan Commission, as Scott said, we do the same thing. And everyone up there knows, everything development that gets approved, there's a lot of contingencies, and landscaping is one of them. So you can't move forward till they're approved by the staff, per all the guidelines. The other thing is that Scott did and I did, we took everything to the city attorney from this as well, and everything is stated properly. And as you said, Eileen, this has not happened before. And there's some confusion here between residential and commercial as being stated. And I can understand for the layman that might be hard, but again, we've not had this before. And it's assessment and not fee. I know to you it's one and the same, but they're not really the same. And it's commercial versus residential. And as Adam told Scott and I today, every development doesn't get that assessment until final, because every once in a while they add another bathroom, they add a swimming pool, they add a something, and that's the reason for it. So I just wanted you guys to have that information. And thank you.
The question I have too is how'd you come up with the fee? Because if you look at your one-bedroom apartments, are charged certainly. We're not a kitchen. We don't have.
It's the bed counts. If you look in there, in the paperwork I just provided you, I had how Renee calculated the fee, and it's the 4 pages of how she calculated it out. And it's based on bed counts for you guys.
Right, and that's probably not a fair assessment according to state and how they look at the state plumbing code, looks at it a lot differently. But I have contacted the Public Service Commission in Madison, and they're going to be looking at the practices because something is not right here.
One bedroom is a certain apartment. I don't have to go back and look, but the dollar amount that you charge me is like $4,000, and I'm not apartment.
No, but it's based on bed counts of what you have.
That's not generally how other cities do it.
So if I build a 30-bedroom apartment with bathrooms and kitchens in them, you're charging X, Y, Z, and you're charging me for more, and I have less.
Again, we're looking at the bed counts of how.
But you're making up your own rules for your city. I don't know, maybe you can do that. I don't know.
The code has been in place since 1984, and how it's set up with RCA is based off it. And it's kind of like, this was set up in 1984, the numbers were probably taken from MMSD, we looked at it, and it's on the next page of how they do the counts. The calculations then for your particular case and how you fall under, which is probably a nursing home kind of area, you are charged based off of the number of beds that you have. You have 34 beds times 0.75 recs, which is 25.5 RCAs. You're less 1 originally connected, so you're down to 24.5 RCAs. All right? So that is how the calculation was determined. Now again, your argument is also said too is that those beds, some people are on depends, some people don't always use the bathrooms, and we understand that. The point is, when you calculate it, it's a one-time fee that, assuming that all people, all 34 beds are being used at the time, and they're all using the bathroom. That was how the reserve capacity assessment was set up back in 1984.
It probably needs to be updated, obviously, because I don't read that in your codes. I mean, it looks like you're supposed to have like a residential equivalency at some point, and that is not a residential equivalency by any stretch. And, you know, like I mentioned before, we're working with the city of Paddock Lake right now, and they're looking at 5 rooms for 1 rec fee. So, you know, if we have a 30-bed, you know, it's, you know, 6 rec fees, not 30, you know, 30 rec fees. So, I mean, it's just, you know, it's just not a reasonable amount by any stretch.
Yeah, that's why they take it, you know, residential would be 1 rec, and that's why it's 0.75 recs for what it is. So it's not 1-to-1, it's 0.75 for your beds.
But your apartments are 0.5, and that has a kitchen and washer, dryer, laundry, outside spigot. This doesn't. This has 1 bathroom and 1 person.
And that's how the thing was set up back in the day when they looked at it. And I'm sure we got those numbers from MMSD, and it's based off of that you're going to be under a nursing home kind of. That's what the name of your development is compared to a residential. All we're doing is we're treating everyone the same way. The first time we kind of consistently did it was Tudor Oaks. Tudor Oaks is kind of the game plan there. We make sure whatever we do is being consistent from one development to another development. That's been, I've been told by our lawyer or confirmed. So we are treating you no differently than we are treating with MSP, which is going through the same process, another one that's qualified under nursing care. They're going through the same process that you are. Exact same.
So, you know, we've been to a couple meetings. All I see is a bunch of shoulder shrugging, and no one seems to be taking responsibility for this whatsoever.
Well, we're taking responsibility for following our city's code.
Right, and if you were following the city's code, you would be following this. It's not built after the fact.
Well, we just disagree on what the city code says, apparently.
Well, I guess we'll have to have our lawyers look at it then. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I had the same comment from Heritage Senior Center. They too were very surprised at the end of the game when they got a very large bill. Yeah. So it has happened before.
Anything else? Okay, then we are going to move on to connection of Bellevue Drive and Bay Lane Drive.
So why I'm bringing this one to you is we are in the process of doing, Wendy, change this speed to the next one. Thanks, Wendy. So Bellevue Drive and Bay Lane Drive, we're in the process of doing Bay Lane, the reconstruction. And Bellevue Drive, it's kind of a weird kind of road there. And I pulled up the old plat there. But if you go out there, it kind of dead ends, and it doesn't all the way make the connection through Bay Lane. And I looked, when we started this process, I looked everywhere. I looked for resolutions, anything that could say that this is supposed to just die, be a cul-de-sac, anything going on. And if you look at the right-of-way there, it's purchased already to do a connection. There wasn't a purchase to do a bulb or do any type of cul-de-sac. So as part of us moving forward with the 60% plans for reconstruction, we made that connection for Bellevue and Bay Lane, and we showed it in the 60% plans. A lot of residents came, they didn't like that. They voiced their opinion. And what I decided to do to make sure that I didn't make the call was to put it to Public Works and put it to Common Council. The big thing from our standpoint as engineering and planning is it was always planned to be connecting. I'm kind of looking as an engineer, I'm going to connect it. The other thing too is trucks, recycle, snow plowing. When you have a cul-de-sac, you can turn around. Even a temporary T, you can turn around. There's no way to turn around here. It's like you're backing in one way and then backing out. The last thing I want to do is have any of our equipment or big utility equipment go onto a private driveway to go through. And if it does and damage that would be the responsibility of us as DPW or the private utility. The other thing too is when we look at doing developments, we always look at connection points. And this was always designed to be a connection point to Bay Lane at some point. I gave you even the subdivision plat back from 1954 when it was even named a different road, but I just wanted to kind of provide that to it. The other thing too is, you know, and this was just something mentioned as we were going through the process. The school came in, Jeremiah Johnson, he said, you know what, that other connection point, sometimes Bay Lane gets a little crowded, so they're looking for, you know, another access point for emergency vehicles to get off of Bay Lane or not. So that was just another point. The discussion now is more of like, I just got to know before I let these guys go, do we connect it as part of the reconstruction? Or do you guys let me know what's the game plan and not connect it? And then I would try to somehow, which is going to be very limited, somehow kind of form a temporary T or doing something, because it's kind of going to be a pain in the butt moving snow plowing back and forth there. But then it protects anyone as a resident that this will never come back, because there'll be a resolution to go one way or another. But the time to do it would be now when I'm reconstructing the road, and that's why it's coming to you guys. So,
You know, this is always the issue, when we do things and we put it off.
yeah, but it has to come to now because I'm doing the road. That's why it's coming up. So, and as you can see, there's some residents here, and Alderman Hamel asked me to bring this to you guys. So,
Is our fire department here by any chance? No.
no, but I'm just leaving it up for you guys for discussion.
Well,
My job is
why
done.
shouldn't we?
Can we make some statements?
Yes.
Yes.
I think the first thing that's on all of our minds is what changed? That's been like that forever down there. No, it sounds a little old fuddy, whatever, but, you know, I've been in this town for over 50 years. And I remember when Bay Lane got built. I remember when all of this stuff went through. What changed and what's pushing the fact that you want to connect that road?
Okay, again, as I said before, the right-of-way is purchased, the connection point through, the vehicles as a cul-de-sac. When you have a cul-de-sac is designed for people to turn around in there. There's no good way for it to turn through. The right-of-way is purchased for the connection. At this point,
Why'd you sit on it for so long? Number one. And number two,
because
I'd like to see what you have, because none of us on that street have been informed of any of this. By the way, you all started it on the 15th of July in 2015.
When I took
And
over,
every one of us are finding out now. What's that all about?
when I took over the plans, when I was here, and was doing 60% plans before the public information meeting, we sat down and I looked at all the plans. In that, it showed right-of-way was purchased for the connection point. The point is, as an engineer / planner talking with everyone, the idea of connection is what we follow here. We would never not ask a new development to do a connection point. Again, in the meeting, why I said it has to be brought here is it both protects you and it protects me. If they vote not to, and it becomes a resolution, then it never will ever come up again. Do you understand what I mean? I can't find a resolution saying that it should end there. It has to be done now. Why I'm doing it now is because it's cost effective with the reconstruction of Bay Lane. I would not just do this and say, hey, guess what, there's nothing going on. I'm just gonna make this connection. Why this is stemming is because Bay Lane is gonna be reconstructed next year, and that's why I look at everything with the road. That's why it's being brought up right now.
Bellevue.
So in 2015, we bought this property, is that what you're saying?
No, it's just always been like this. No one.
That's when it started.
When the first houses
If you look
were
at your
built
notes.
back there, was that when?
I'm just looking at a plat from 1954, and that's all purchased right away, coming right up to it. So.
And so in 1954, when it first came to
I don't think Bay
fruition-
Lane was there, was it?
No, but
It was a farm field.
But the road going into it is, according to the plat that I provided to you, that's what the information is.
This plat that we're looking at, that comes from the early.
Yes, and you can see too, the name is different too.
Name is-
Yes, it just, that's how old it is. Yeah, and names change on plats, I want to just let you know. But that is the road that comes in there, and you can see what it is.
So the termination that's showing up in this plat was just the end of it. And like you're saying, it was farm field after that, at that time.
And when you put the other Bay Lane road in there, it's all kind of like set up to be a T connection. You know, when you do other plats, you guys are aware that, you know, they plan for cul-de-sacs or whatever.
But for what reason is what we're trying to understand. You can say, well, oh, that's the way I guess we've always done it, is what I think I'm hearing you say.
The way it's doing is, it's good planning. It's good engineering planning.
On whose part? We all live on that street. The first thing we're concerned about is the fact that I guarantee you, what do you think is going to happen off of Bay Lane? It's going to be a cut-through. Number one. Number two, if you don't believe me, go look at Hilltop when they have functions going on at the school. They park down Hilltop and part of the way down Bellevue when they have a big function going on there. Now you want to open that up over there. You know what's going to happen as well as I do. They're going to be coming through there. We have kids on those streets. We have elderly people that walk through there all the time.
What about the school lane? Galen School.
Yeah.
You don't have the floor.
Well, and that's, and let me. See, the question is we're trying to find out what's driving it. And why does it happen? If it's just because that's the way we've always done it, well, that's kind of poor because the government's supposed to be for the people. We're the people living on that street. Hold on, let me finish, okay? If it's because it's being driven, and I heard a couple versions of it, and maybe you can clarify it for us, is that it's for safety reasons and so forth, okay? I'm not sure. They said about emergency vehicles getting through there and things like that. Y'all just built a brand new road there on Moreland. Do you know and realize in my 2008 expedition, if it clunks out on that road and an EMT needs to get through, they'll never get through there. Right where they put the median in, just north of the roundabout. I'm just putting some seeds down to help you understand how we're all thinking about what are they telling us and why, okay? So, if the school is driving that, and that's the point that this gentleman is making, and we're all trying to figure out is, you got a lot of green space over there. Move it east. We know it's a problem with the parking, because guess what? For the last couple of years, we've lived it. Any of you, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful on point, but have any of you tried to go down that road at 8:30 in the morning during a school day? Pretty hard to get through, isn't it?
Takes a long time.
Exactly. So you know why we're thinking that way, and you know why we're trying to understand, what are you doing here? And you want to put it through. Go east. You got a lot of green grass over there, and I watch that grass. I'm the second house in off of there. And the people next door to me, they see it even better than I do. And the only thing you see out there is a little bit of baseball on all that green grass, the football practice that they do, okay? And last but not least, the bajillion geese that land there and do their doo-doo all the time, okay? And that's it. And again, we're going, what? This doesn't make sense to us. Go east with it. If you need that space. And you know what? I mean, leave us alone in there. I bought that house in there 14 years ago, because it was a dead end. See, factors went into my purchase decision, as well as I would say for a number of us down there. Because, you know, it's nice and quiet down there. Well, it was. All right? I don't know if they have.
For driving this, okay, again, nothing with the school. It is basically, I have, again, redoing Bay Lane Road. This road is supposed to connect. The right-of-way's there. This is the only reason why it's being brought up right now of if you're going to do the connection, and it shows there's no resolution said that there was never supposed to be a connection. There is, the right-of-way is already purchased. I have vehicles that go down, they can't turn around unless going through. We are following kind of our policy, good planning of just connecting. That's the only reason why I'm driving this right now to do it. And again, the only reason why we're here, again, is both to protect you as the residents and me not. If they say, and council agrees that they don't want to do it, you'll never have to come here again. And even if I'm gone, no one will ever come here again. It just needs to be decided one way or another. I'm telling you my reasoning. You have to sell it to them about it, but it's not the school, and we can't go to east on the green space. It has nothing to do with going east on the green space. I have no control of the school property. I'm just telling you what it is for the connection.
It's a pretty mechanical answer, but yeah.
It's kind
At the end of the day, what you forget, though, when you give a mechanical answer like that is it's for who? Protecting the who.
Well,
it's for the who. We're the who on that street, okay?
It's also for
and if you don't believe us, we all come in here at the end of the year and we all put our checks down on, well, the counter used to be over there, okay? It's called our taxes. All right, and I know that's been thrown in this building a bajillion times by a bajillion people. And I thought, why can I be left out? I pay those taxes too. But, I mean, come on. I hear what you're saying, but it's very mechanical. It's a because, and it's a policy, and it's so forth. And we're people that deserve more than just your policies and your because it's common practice stuff. It's not good for us on that road. Not to mention the poor lady who's sitting over here. If you look at the elevations they have there, they've got to raise it almost 3 feet. What does she need, a Humvee to get out of her driveway when you guys get done with it? And you know what I'm talking about. You saw that.
The driveway is going to be a little steeper, I agree, but we're not going to make it more than 10%, and we will work with that. It's early in the plans. It's only 60%.
I'm shocked. None of us knew about it, and it's at 60% already. How come we didn't know when you were at 30%? As a matter of fact, how come we didn't know, which, by the way, I didn't get a letter. Only the houses right along. 3 houses got it over there. Along Bay Lane.
Along Bay Lane. The ones right next along the Bay Lane, correct?
Correct.
And it was on the website, and you did come to the public information meeting, correct? So
what is on, so you're saying it's our responsibility when you guys are doing all of this stuff to go on the website? We're supposed to do that?
We send the notices out to the people along the road that is affected.
Being affected, right?
Correct.
Bellevue is being affected. You're opening it up. Why didn't all the people on Bellevue get one?
And what happened was your neighbors talked to you because they're all good neighbors, and you showed up at the meeting, correct?
Okay.
And that's a good thing. I'm happy that you guys all showed up. I'm happy that you guys came and voiced your opinion.
That's kind of disrespectful for us as homeowners in this town that you won't talk to us. You'll just wait and let us hear it. You'll wait and let us hear it mouth to mouth, buzzing on the telephone line.
And then you all showed up.
That's sad.
You all showed up at the public information meeting, and I was willing, and everyone was willing to talk to you about everything. And when I told you that this process was going to happen.
No, you were willing to tell us about everything. We couldn't reason, and we came to that meeting to try and reason some things and to try and have you guys hear what we're talking about, and you went like this. And I remember standing right here and looking at you going like this. Well, you'll have to take it up with someone else. You'll have to take it up to... That's your problem with all your compartments and how it has to go. We're just telling you what we're not happy about.
You know we are here, and I did listen to you. That's why Alderman Hanway reached out to me right away the next day and asked, could you put this on Public Works? And I said, not a problem. I'll get it on here. For them and for you to come and state your case here. This is just the process.
That's fine. So where does it go from here is what I think we'd all love to know.
You state your case to them.
I'm only one. You got to give some of those others an opportunity.
Do we have a new plot here?
Yeah, I was, right. I was just doing a little research because I'm not familiar with that area, so I was trying to get a better understanding. And from what I'm seeing, we really there is no way to make a cul-de-sac there.
No. There's not. It'd be really tight. I could maybe somehow kind of finagle it or do a temporary T, but it would be very, very tight.
Do we have the ability right now to pull up the modern map and put it on the screen?
Can I just want to say something. I own that property that's right at the end on the T, where you guys are talking about putting a cul-de-sac or a T. I literally will never be able to get out of my driveway with you putting a cul-de-sac there or opening up that driveway to the main road. I can't get out of there at a timely manner the way it is. When you guys, with the snowplows and everything, that's been going on. We've been there since 1991. The snowplows have worked it out. They've made their way. They've made no problems whatsoever. I'm concerned about the safety of the people. I'm concerned about my property value because I think it's going to go way down. I've always wanted my privacy at the end of that block. That's why I bought it there. I had a small child at one time. She's not a small child anymore, but eventually she's going to have grandchildren. And I don't want that street opened up. There's no reason for it. There's a walkway there now. People park there when there's school events. They can walk across the street. I don't see how this is going to affect safety and make it beneficial for anybody. And like I said, we've been there since 1991. We've never had anybody tell us that this was planned to be opened up.
So right now, the way it stands, we're using driveways.
Is there any way? I'm
make-
familiar with what this is in 2000. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with what it is in 1954 or whatever this thing was.
And that's what I was just saying.
It just,
Is there a?
Do we have the capability of pulling up our update map?
I wouldn't know.
I don't even,
I have one final question too, is if they're going to be affecting my property and my driveway and everything and my trees on my lot, is this going to be a cost to me or is the city going to pick up all this? Because there's definitely going to be a lot of changes to my property.
we pick all that up as part of the project.
Hi. In regards to how many roads go from Woods Road.
Could you state your name?
Sure. My name is Pat Neiman. I live on Bellevue Drive. I've been there for 42 years. There are 5 roads that connect Woods Road to Janesville. That is Moreland, that is Quietwood, that is Bay Lane, that is Parkland, and there is Lannon. I don't know how many more roads we have to have connecting. 25 years ago, Bill Simmons, who was the alderman at that time, came as our alderman and spoke his piece in regards to having this totally a dead end. At that point in time, it was kind of waived saying they couldn't do that, but they were going to leave it as is for that time. Bill Simmons is quite ill at this time, and I wish he would be here because he would have the history of what all happened. But I did talk to the advanced disposal people, and his name is Keith, and I asked him point blank, I said, do you have a problem going down Bellevue and backing up? I did not tell him about the through road. He said, not a problem. Then I talked to the recycling fella, Adam. He says to me, I love this area. He said, I grew up in Muskego. Don't let them do this. I drove school bus for 16 and a half years. I backed my bus up in my driveway on Bellevue Drive and had no issues. There is a daycare at the end of Bellevue, and there's a car wash. And that daycare can be very busy at times, and I am just wondering exactly how important this road is to be put through. There's also children that are getting on buses on top of Hilltop. Hilltop also goes through on Bellevue if you take Bay Lane to Hilltop to Bellevue and then down to Janesville. So I hope you really reconsider something else that you can do instead of having this a through street, because I think it would be a real problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know I've been in the neighborhood for about 20 years, and we have a lot of kids down that road. I mean, they're riding their bikes and everything. We already have a problem with traffic flow through there, speeding like crazy. The school has plenty of land to maybe reroute the road or whatever instead of taking our quiet road away. Are you going to be responsible for if some kid gets killed in our neighborhood?
Okay. Okay.
That's a pretty nasty thing to do. It's a very nasty thing to see.
No, it isn't.
Because a child can get killed at any time.
No,
And
but
not-
you
not
have a lot more
necessarily because of
kids
what
in
we're
it.
doing here,
Have
sir.
you researched in our neighborhood how many kids?
Every street, we're killing kids on every street that goes through then? No, we aren't, sir. That's a really nasty argument to make.
Well,
So I
then
just took,
you know-
I just took a look at this whole area. And I see that, you know, one of the things that we do when we create subdivisions like this is make a lot of curves and turns and different things that distract people from wanting to cut through. And as I look through this, I'm thinking it would be kind of foolish to go all the way down by you guys to cut through when you can cut across on Hilltop and other areas that are much straighter. I don't see.
Right.
So you're thinking they're going to cut through off of Bay Lane to where?
Right.
Well, most people, I drove down Bay Lane one time during school, and I guarantee you I never did it again. And I think that's what most people do. They go, wow, I'm not going to go down here.
Well, the police have been down our road taking radar and everything, and it's nuts. The people are speeding like crazy. Also, if you're going to use our road isn't the greatest shape anymore. Is that going to fall on us taxpayers?
No.
No.
Falls on the road program.
It does. And I mean, it's been in the plan, as he said, since 1954. And
Well,
the hard
now
part.
it's 2018.
I understand that. And I know nobody likes change. I understand that too. I mean, I live on a road that right now is a half a mile long and it's only 50 feet wide. But I know that my road has an easement that'll make it 100 feet wide when they're ready. It's there. I can't change that. Someday it's going to be a big, busy road. None of us like change. We like the peace and quiet we're used to. But I don't see this really affecting you as much as you anticipate.
You live in Muskego?
I certainly do.
Oh, my goodness.
I live out on Union Church Drive,
And how long have you been in Muskego?
30 years.
Okay? Had a lot of years in this town. I've watched, believe me.
I have too. I understand.
We contributed to it over a lot of years.
And I totally understand.
Here you say, well, this and that, and you push back. You got a whole group of people here which represent the whole street that are very concerned. It's much more serious than I sense you're taking.
Plus, if one of our houses have a party, we're parking on Bellevue. It's barely passable for another car to go through. And now you're going to have all this traffic pattern change. It's not wide enough to handle the traffic.
Can you turn a fire engine around on your drive, on the Bellevue?
When there's somebody parking in front of my driveway, my neighbor, I cannot get out of my driveway.
I can attest that.
Can you turn a fire engine around?
Go through my driveway that's around, like a roundabout. I have 4 vehicles out because unfortunately one of my children is younger, you can attest to this. Had an ambulance, had all the volunteer firefighters there, and they had to literally drive down my driveway to get out.
And that's a good idea?
And that's our problem.
Is that a good idea? What happens if that way had been blocked by the accident and the fire engine couldn't have gotten to you or the rescue squad couldn't have gotten to you?
You guys aren't listening anyway.
I have some things to say that may not have been brought up. My name is Vicki Hastings, and we're very close to the very end of that. I've also have numerous children who have gone through your entire school system. I am glad to say that 2 of them will be graduating as seniors and will be done. But I've had 4 children go through, and I can tell you that field for softball is used all the time. That field for football season is used all the time. We will be seeing so much increased traffic with you opening up that road that we're going to have lots of problems. We already have problems. When it comes nighttime, kids are driving home with their bikes from that football field because they're middle schoolers. We open up roads, we're opening up liabilities to kids getting hurt.
And I will tell you, that parking lot, I would like you to monitor, because we're still in football season right now, and if you could see how many cars come, and they're coming not when it's dusk time, it's now when it's dark.
I've dropped my grandson off there, yes.
It is very busy. So you start giving them other avenues and other ways to go through, cut through, it's going to cause some problems. And it will cause problems for those folks that live at the very end.
But again, if that intersection between Bay Lane Terrace and Bellevue Drive had been blocked in some way.
It will be blocked with a lot of people parking there.
Okay, then how does the fire engine get in there?
How are you going to get a fire engine through there with a lot of people parking for football practice?
If it was open to the other end, they could come in Bay Lane Drive.
You wouldn't be able to fit it through. I'm going to have to, I mean, I think you guys really need to do some, I know, a fire truck probably coming down, they're going to be able to get there, but no one else will get through. And you're not going to be able to have people parking on the sides of the road for football practice and have a fire truck come through.
That's a no parking sign. That's not a, that doesn't have anything to do with
Can I tell you that when the school has a concert, that's where they all park? Because that's the easiest way to go across the street, and you don't have to deal with the parking lot. We now have an elementary school, which is going to have more parents going to more concerts. Probably. And they were already, when it was half middle school and half a grade school, if you saw the traffic on those kind of days when they have conferences, when they have choir type things or whatnot, our road is extremely busy, and it will continue to grow as you allow. And if you let people have to go through the fairway and say no parking, I don't think that's going to roll. I really want you guys to really think this through, because it is not only impacting our property values, but it is also going to impact the way that the traffic flow is. And that traffic flow at Bay Lane has never, ever been adequate. People are trying to turn in the morning in front of people, in front of the buses, and I don't know how the traffic flow is working right now, but I will tell you, I would never want to drive my children there. Between that school and the high school, literally, it drove me batty as a parent.
I think the traffic issue is really significant. I've been there, I've seen it, but it's really a different problem, and it's something that we have to talk to our police department about rectifying. It's a totally different type of issue, and I have to agree with Neil. No parking can take care of that issue, but a fire truck not being able to get through, no parking isn't going to take care of that issue if they can't turn.
They haven't been able to turn for how many years have that since
that subdivision? The city is growing. The city is growing, and as
our subdivision is landlocked. I don't see any other houses going up in our area.
No, the fire engines themselves have grown.
Right.
Share with you something that Berlin did. I got a buddy that I work with. As a matter of fact, he went to Muskego High School and just looked up not long ago again. He goes, please listen to me talking about this. And he goes, wow. Let me show you what they did in Berlin. Same thing. An exit going out like this. Okay? He's on the dead end. It's a straight road that just stops. Okay? They came to a concession here, where they put the road through, okay? In the next pictures, you can see the sign, do not enter emergency vehicles only.
We've done that just down the road from you, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if anything, if that was something that was considered, but then put up, I was surprised that the city does this, but they keep it up with the barricades there.
As a matter of fact, even at the new school that's being done.
Yep, we did do that over there.
All right. I'd like to explore something. I get in trouble this way. When this was laid out as an original subdivision way back when, I think the presumption was that road would one day continue. Not just T, but continue.
subsequent years and the developments in the school and everything preempted that. So now what have we got? We've got a settled neighborhood that we're about to change significantly. I can hear that plainly if we go the way we're proposing. They're right. We need to think a lot deeper before we make a move.
There's 4 people that are on that road.
But second to that, we have the road problem of what we're doing with Bay Lane. And we need to think it through and say, what can we do to relieve the problems that can be here? That suggestion you just made really appeals to me, for one thing, right off the top. That is something that would make sense, because why would we change their whole neighborhood just for the sake of something that was there to be done at some future date if it was the proper thing to do? Well, it may have been the proper thing to do over the years, but this is 2018. So we need to do some deeper thinking here. I agree with that. But I'm saying that neighborhood and that street, they're right. That street's not going to contain the kind of traffic that's going to cut through. They're right. We're having cut-through issues in other places in town with streets that are a lot bigger than theirs. So I got to acknowledge that and say, back to the drawing board at least.
Can I make a suggestion? Why don't we look at a lane widening it at a certain point and relieve all that? You have traffic going all the way from Woods Road in the mornings. And now it's worse because now it's elementary school. You have more traffic. Cutting through our neighborhood ain't gonna take the solution for the problem.
We know we have to do something with Bay Lane at some point. We know that, and I'm sure that Scott and the school board and everybody is looking at that. But our issue today is what we're going to do with this connection that's been in the waiting for a lot of years. So
I can't.
I do agree that the easement is there and the plan was there.
Yeah.
And strictly looking at it from that angle, yeah, should be opened.
So I need a motion.
No.
Oh,
I live on Bellevue Drive, lived there about 35 years, and for the last couple days, I've walked and stood by Bay Lane Elementary School in the morning from 8:30 to 9:30. There is no problem with traffic in the morning. I work in the afternoon, so I can't be there in the afternoon, but there again, has a traffic survey been done as to a true need for all widening of Bay Lane and then involving Bellevue Drive?
I'm sure, Bob, have you gotten any traffic surveys?
I haven't seen one in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we can order. And again, that stuff we know.
Is that not the first step in all of this? There is a huge.
Was all done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the traffic studies were all done.
Yeah.
That's.
It is totally different.
The thing is,
People waited like
you're right
2
about
cars,
that.
and a minute would go by. I documented it on the one day. There is a worse problem getting into Pick and Save on Parkland than there was for the schools the last couple days. And yes, that is very important to know what the traffic flow is, because this all comes down to money that we're paying, something we don't really want, and a true need for Bellevue Drive.
And I understand Bay Lane's an issue. I understand we have to do another traffic study since that happened, but again, that's a different issue. Right now, tonight,
It's not a different issue.
Well, it is, because a lot of things have to happen before we can even discuss that. That topic is not on our agenda. Our agenda tonight is what we're going to do with this road.
It was on the agenda.
What we're going to do with that road is on the agenda.
Bay Lane reconstruction, and you said about maybe 5 sentences on it. And out of those 5 sentences, nothing was really pertinent. to a true need. It was a want.
The topic now is that particular street and whether we open it up or not. That's where we're at on the agenda right this minute. And we're looking at it from the standpoint of the fact that it's been there forever and we have a need for equipment to be able to get through, whether it's a fire truck or whether it's a snowplow or things have to be able to
Perhaps you
get
should
through.
come and live on our street and see what our street is like and what the need is.
I'm sure it's lovely. I'm sure it's wonderful. And I'm not trying to make it bad. I'm just trying to make it work.
It is working.
Man, we're trying to understand that you keep saying need, there's a need, there's a need.
I think that should go.
Well, let's hear, we're going to hear from your alderman now. Okay, let's let your alderman speak, please.
I agree with everyone that's in the audience and what they're saying. I have not had one resident come to me and say, yes, that's a good idea. They're all against it. I think all because we can doesn't mean we should. It's been that way for, if it was 1954, what is that, 64 years? They've been able to make it work. I do think there will be an increased traffic flow on that street. It is very narrow. I don't think it's necessarily people leaving the school, but people bypassing the issue of the traffic at the school, either to or from Janesville to Bay Lane to Woods or...
So when they're lined up all the way down there, like they were the day I went,
oh, it's terrible.
They'd never be able to pull out. They'd be sitting there forever waiting to get in.
Well, that's part of the problem, though, too, for the people that live in there. It's so busy, it's just going to put more traffic on their street.
So the question is more for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's getting vehicles through there. So is this something we could do the same way we did over by the new middle school? Where, you have to have...
I think we have to find something to take into consideration the residents that are affected the most, and those are the people that live on the street. They're affected most. They live there. Yes, could it affect a snowplow or garbage truck? I guess
if somebody turns around in a driveway and they destroy it, it affects the taxpayers that have to pay to fix it.
Right, but there's other options that were brought up, like putting, do put it through, but put up barriers so it cannot be used as a cut through, that only, emergency vehicles or whatever, it was, have that in other places in the city. I do think there's probably a better option than just making it a connection so everybody else can use it, because that's going to cause a daily issue for the people that live on that street.
The only other places that I know of, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, when we did it at the middle school, it was a secondary access point.
Right.
When we are thinking about doing it about Will Rose too, we're doing a secondary access point as well with the condominiums. It's not a public road right away or whatever. It is more for a secondary access point to a business where you have a temporary thing. They've done it at schools where they have a gate where you can hit a button and go up and down with the barricades. Sticking barricades out there nonstop where I have to have DPW change things in and out.
I think more just the sign. They've mentioned...
Yeah, but I'm just saying it is not, I've not seen it where it's done at the end of a public road and saying this is just going to be for emergency access points from one public road to another public road. Just
okay.
Unless you guys can think of another, you guys know more history about this. Do you know another point that I'm missing?
I can't think of a situation, but I would wonder about the appropriateness of new thought in this area. I mean,
well, because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean we
That's kind of my standpoint on this, because.
Or all because we can do it doesn't mean we should do it.
I think these people are right that we're going to change their neighborhood far more than we think we're going to change it if we just say a street can be there. And I'm worried about that.
And I just want to make sure too, when there's all these places like this that exist in Muskego, we all know that. There's other places where there's endpoints that are planned for future development and connections all over the place. So why that is done, it's good planning of making connection points between subdivision and subdivision. Those subdivisions will change as well, without a doubt, when those roads do finally go through. But I'm just saying that if you do this here, the next person's going to go, why do I want this through here? I want this. But I'm saying that's why there was always good planning, and there's right-of-way set up in certain ways. It wasn't just done and said, hey, we're not going to do it. If we wanted to do a cul-de-sac, they're set up for doing cul-de-sacs in places. And that's just, again, I hate to kind of say this is black and white, but that's my engineering planning looking at that point of view. And that's more related to that. And I'm not disagreeing that that's not going to change how that subdivision or how traffic will act. Of course it will. This is pure common sense. If you open up a road, more traffic will be on that road to get out. It's a simple fact. I'm just looking at what was there and what we need to do. And I think, like Alderman Madden said, it's either a decision to, we are going to connect it this time or we're not. And then it's done. And then no one ever has to come back here to discuss this. But that's really the question that you guys, and it's up to you.
Yep. Again, going back to the original plat, they have, I don't know, in that whole subdivision, I've been down in there, but I don't have familiarity how many cul-de-sacs are in there.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I lived on Bellevue Drive 45 years, and I've never seen a fire truck go down Bellevue Drive. They tried pushing this through years ago, and they decided not to for the same reasons. Nobody wants it, and it isn't going to do any good. What would happen is the people that try getting down Bay Lane in the morning with all that traffic are going to go, you know, they're late for work, they're going to go flying down Bellevue Drive, and they're going to kill somebody. There's all kinds of kids waiting on corners for school buses and everything on Bellevue Drive. There's people walking, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that walk their dogs down Bellevue Drive, and you're gonna regret it. I guarantee it. But like I say, years ago they tried this. And they agreed with us that it doesn't make any sense. And why you bring it up again, trying to shove it down our throats again, it just doesn't make any sense. I raised my kids there, I raised my grandkids there, and now I got a great-grandson that loves running around in the grass in his bare feet, and I'm going to have to sit out there and watch him all the time now because there's people late for work flying down the street. Don't make no sense. And like I say, I've never seen a fire truck or an ambulance even go flying down that street yet.
As long as there's sound fence around there, the trees over there, find a way to get in there, trust me.
So gentlemen, we have to make a decision. Be looking for a motion.
No, I'm thinking it should go through.
Okay, so that's, your motion is to proceed?
You haven't made a motion yet.
No.
I move for more.
No, I'm sorry.
I move for more study of it yet.
When is how much time do we have?
We, basically, the study, and I don't know what you're looking to find for the study.
Yeah,
because the study is not going to, if you're saying more traffic is going to be on the road, I'll tell you right now, more traffic will go on the road when it opens up. There's no study to prove that how much more traffic are going to go on there. It'll all depend on when it does open up. The question really is, do you want it open up or not? The study of what it is there is no study that you're looking for or for me to tell you that an answer of if it opens up, what was the question that you want to ask? If there's more traffic on it? Yes. I will tell you right now, if it opens up, you will get more traffic on that road.
And you can't turn it into a cul-de-sac because there's no room.
Yeah, that's the thing there. It's not that fire engines have gotten bigger over the years, garbage trucks have gotten bigger over the years. That is a substandard cul-de-sac right now. We go now to 90-foot cul-de-sacs. Am I right on that? And you're at a 60-foot cul-de-sac.
It's not even a cul-de-sac. It's just a dead end.
Yeah.
There's no
whatever you call
it.
it.
Yeah, there's no even cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Did you count the houses that they need to get into? 3.
Yeah. It would be more convenient for those 3 houses to get out.
No, it will not.
It would not? Okay.
Listen, if I had to get out, you want to see how fast I'll pull that fence down and get up on land? Without your road. Go quick.
Do I have a motion?
I tried to make a motion. No second.
No.
All right, then I'll make the motion the other way. No.
No what?
Leave it alone. Does John have a second?
Only if you'll amend it to instruct the city engineer to put that piece of land that is safe for the road up for vacation, and it'll never come back again.
So it's just kill it. You want to?
Yep.
Neil has asked me to amend the motion that I was making that it would be permanent, that it would never be revisited again.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Passes. All right. New business placed on file. I got nothing. So I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. It's done.
We are adjourned at 6:33. Neil adjourned and John second.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Still goes to council.
Oh, yes, it does still go to council, so it's not, nothing is done until until it goes through council.
So are we invited for that?
Yes.
So it'll be what?
Not only are you invited, you are invited to speak.
Next Tuesday, right?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.